Let's go! Are you kidding me? We have the three permanent teams for LSU beginning in 2024. It is Alabama, it is Texas A&M, and Ole Miss. So I'm going to let you comment down below, but I am outraged that one annual matchup for the Tigers will be no more. So which games would I have preferred? Now, once again, this is my personal opinion. I would have loved to have kept the Arkansas game. Now, this is an LSU fan that grew up in Arkansas, played high school football in Arkansas, and the southern part of Arkansas and the northern part of Louisiana love this rivalry. In fact, the entire state of Arkansas loves the battle for the Golden Boot. The issue is Louisiana just doesn't care. In fact, when Arkansas wins the Golden Boot, it is, basically their Super Bowl each and every season. I enjoyed the fact that these schools were both schools that were the only Power 5 universities in their own respective states. But this game will be no longer as an annual matchup. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the other few teams that LSU plays every year, and then at the end I'm going to give you what I would have liked for my annual 3 matchups. I want to show you this LSU versus Mississippi State. Now, why does this game mean a lot? Please correct me if I'm wrong on this fact, but I do believe this is the matchup that LSU has played the most. The issue is the one-sided nature of that matchup. Outside of a few, heroic Dak Prescott and Nick Fitzgerald games, this has been very one-sided in favor, of course, of LSU. So, there's just not many legendary games mixed in here either. So I think out of any of the permanent 7 teams that LSU played every year, this is the one that I think most of you care about the least. Let's go to the LSU versus Texas A&M matchup here. And this kind of goes along with what I'm going to say about LSU versus Ole Miss. I just don't view this rivalry between these two schools really that much of a rivalry. As you can see, it's especially been one-sided in more recent history in favor of LSU. But now, whether it's LSU or Ole Miss, this kind of goes along with what I was saying earlier. There's just not many legendary matchups here. Like, of course, the 7 overtime game versus Texas A&M was pretty big, and then LSU versus Ole Miss, obviously the Billy Cannon history there. There's some other games mixed in there, the Odell punt return, the Kayshawn game. Now you see LSU versus Alabama. You want to avoid Alabama as much as you possibly can because they are obviously still the power of the SEC along with Georgia. But I'm fine with keeping it. I understand Alabama's frustration with having Auburn and Tennessee on there as well, but I'm perfectly fine with keeping this as an annual matchup. And I know this feels a little anecdotal, but there are more people every season that tell me that that are friends of mine that are Alabama fans that say, I look forward to the LSU game the most each and every season. In fact, someone that I know that works at Alabama told me that. Now, what is very interesting about that is, of course, Alabama's got bigger rivals, but LSU and Alabama over the past decade has been the most watched game in the SEC. Now, this gets to another spicy matchup annually that will be no more. Auburn, right? LSU, Auburn, lots of recent history and a ton of games that were decided by very weird score lines, right? You got a 7-3 mixed in there in 2006. Obviously, you got 24-19 here. That was the recent 21-17. That game was very weird. You guys know every year you got an 18-13 mixed in here, 27-23, 22-21, the Cole Tracy kick. I would have loved to have kept the LSU-Auburn game, but you can't keep everything. And, of course, Auburn, they're going to have Georgia and Alabama on their schedule each and every season. Auburn and Georgia. I've done a video on this on Power Hour SEC. If I was Auburn, I would clamor to the SEC, get rid of the Georgia game. But there's no way that Auburn would have kept Georgia, Alabama, and LSU, the three best SEC programs, as their three permanents. That would have been extremely unfair to Auburn. So, yes, that game was never going to be the one that survives. So, before I give you this one school that I wish was on LSU's schedule each and every year, I want to do a little exercise with you, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go game by game here and show you the most uneven historic matchups between LSU's annual opponents since the SEC was reshuffled a few years ago, okay? So, as you can see, the history with LSU and Mississippi State, this is the most one-sided matchup LSU has had in their favor, especially if you factor in recent history. So, you then go to this one. This is the other most one-sided one. Unfortunately, that is mostly one-sided in favor of Alabama. But did you know the other schools that LSU has played annually each and every year, LSU has an advantage? As you can see, 43-23 versus Arkansas, 65-41 versus Ole Miss with the 4 ties mixed in there, 35-23 versus Texas A&M, 32-24 versus Auburn. But this is going to be the most chilling thing. Bang! 33-33. And this is the team that LSU should have had as one of their permanents. The Florida Gators. Bam! Looking at you. Yes, you right now. So, there are plenty of ways you can help support the PHL movement. Venmo, obviously, is always taken, but the truth is there's a very simple super thanks button at the bottom right corner of this video. Also, join our Patreon. We just had Kedrick join us. You don't want to miss out on some of what we're doing, including my 5 key players for LSU spring football on our private Discord. Please check it out. So, obviously, you're looking at one of the most legendary moments in the SEC, the beginning of the end of the Dan Mullen, Florida era, the Cole Taylor shoot throw. And I understand that LSU versus Florida has been very one-sided in recent history, where LSU has won the last 4 matchups. But this game should be kept annually. And when I think of the most vitriol, and I'm talking about pure, not forced vitriol, I feel as if the Texas A&M and the Ole Miss games are just shoved down our throats as the games that we should care about the most. But I feel as if someone that has been in LSU media for quite some time, that the Florida game is the one that gets the juices flowing more so than any other game outside of the Alabama game. There is a very natural hatred of both of the schools, and I want you to see this over here, okay? So these margins of victory are very close, chillingly close. In fact, the biggest margin of victory was 2019 LSU, where, as many of you know, I believe Florida was leading in the third quarter there. So you see a lot of close, tight, championship-defining games mixed in there for both programs. And let's be honest, this game has just kind of taken its own... I feel as if this matchup and the history of this matchup was purely off the football, purely off the games themselves, because obviously one of the metrics that the SEC put into the equation here, and we don't know what everybody's matchups are going to look like. It's not official anywhere, really. But the truth is, geography did play a role, and Baton Rouge to Gainesville is a 9-hour trek. Baton Rouge to Fayetteville also is a 10-hour trek, where I believe Alabama, Ole Miss is roughly 6 hours, and Texas A&M, roughly around that. So there's going to be, it's a plane ride, it's going to be a trip and all of that, no matter what, and it is one-time things as far as like football flights are concerned, but still, I do think geography did play a role in this, but look, I understand LSU and Florida, they are not SEC West rivals. This was a permanent cross-division rival, but I'm telling you, this is a game that really gets my personal blood flowing more than Arkansas, more than Alabama every year. And some of that is, of course, Alabama just one-sidedly dominating us. Obviously, hopefully that is going to change. But every year, I understand we won the last 4. This game just means a lot to me. Now, many of you probably don't agree with that, but honestly, I want you to go and just write this stuff down. This is what I did. You can do the same thing. Think of the truly legendary LSU games. You think of the Alabama victories in 2019 and 2022, but honestly, the Cole Taylor the Cole Taylor shoot throw, the Jacob Hester game, the fake field goal games with Les Miles, the Terrence Tolliver catch. There's a lot mixed in there. And then also, on the Florida side of things, they've had some pretty big victories over us as well. And once again, 33-33. By the way, 3 ties mixed in there. And if you are really into numbers, today is 3-3. I know. Happy March 3rd. It's also my late grandmother's birthday. Look at her. Elaine Butler Bryant. I love her. 3333. She was actually born legit in 1933. So her birthday is literally 3333. So, and we're talking about 3 permanent teams. So there you go. Shout out Chad Jones, Greg Brooks, and all the famous threes, Odell, and so on and so on. But truth be told, no matter how you feel about it, I wish this game was still on our permanent schedule. And it could be. Once again, it's just the Advocate confirming this report that it's going to be Ole Miss, it's going to be Texas A&M, and it is going to be Alabama. Comment down below your thoughts, and I'm going to be chatting about this in the Discord right now if you're watching this on a premiere, okay? It is! And if you want to be in the Discord, top link down below. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/LSU Football. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! And tonight, we are doing, sushi. Let's go!